How are you doing? I am on location, is what I'm gonna call it. Now I'm in my car, but I had a thought that I wanted to talk about. We've all heard the story of Gethsemane, where Jesus went to pray. Before I get into that, there was a movement, or there was a time when WWJD, What Would Jesus Do? And it's like, I feel like the purpose of that was for us to take a moment and just think, okay, in this situation, how would Jesus handle this? Because he was just like us in the flesh. He is our example. I've heard it even been said, well, I'm not Jesus, and no, we're not. We're our own individual, but the Bible is our instructions, our guidance. Jesus showed us exactly how we can walk in this earth, deal with the elements and deal with the different things that's going on, and how to still come out on the other side in your right mind, still sanctified and holy, if you want to use those words. But yeah, so he went to Gethsemane to pray because he knew what was before him. Now, you look at this from the God standpoint, he sent his only son, he knew what the assignment was. Jesus knew what the assignment was, so he came, he did his works. He's basically showing us a new way, a better way, the way in the past of doing the burnt offerings and killing the lambs and sheep or whatever it was, got quite messy. So he's going to come and be the sacrificial lamb. But when I look at it in him in Gethsemane, he went and he prayed with anguish. It says that it was great drops of blood. His sweat was as great drops of blood. He asked the disciples that went with him to just watch him pray. You ever think of a situation where what you are supposed to do? It's inevitable. This is something that God has put in your heart to do, something that you feel you should do. It could be getting a new job. It could be starting a business. It could be anything, but we allow fear, we allow doubt, unbelief, any of these scenarios to keep us from doing it. And in a way, we are anguished. You feel like, I don't know, I don't want to do this. One point Jesus even said, let this cup pass from me, but it's only if it's your will. And of course we know that it is the will for Jesus to complete the assignment that was given to him. Even though he knew what the end was. He knew what the end was, and he still did it. We get hung up on not completing our assignment because we don't know what the end is. He went and he prayed 3 times. 3 different times he went and prayed. One time, fell to the ground with his hands in his face, like, Lord, are you sure this is for me? How many times have we done that? But the great drops of the sweat, that was great drops of blood. Our blood is like our lifeline. Our blood is what flows through us. I'm not going to say it's our purpose, but without it, we won't be fully functioning, the way we're supposed to. You could even be dead, without the blood. And his anguish was as great drops of blood. So I feel like that was like a type of purging. This was, in my opinion, this was like a dark night of the soul. You get to a point, or you've been in a situation where you have to seek the Lord. you on your hands and knees, or just the anguish from on the inside. And there is a great purging. There's parts of you that has come to the surface. There's parts of you that is making you face reality. The reality of Gethsemane was that Jesus had to accept that he's going to die on this cross. That is what the assignment is. That's what he has to accept. What are we not accepting in our life that is inevitable? You know, we was never promised a, rainbow and unicorns life. And it's not to say that we can't have that. But I feel like things come up for us to purge. Things come up to the surface for us to purge. At this moment, Jesus had to look at himself. Because he was given free will, he could have been like, nah, yeah, I've thought about this. I've gave it great consideration, but yeah, this is not what we're going to do. And would have been like, yeah, this would be great if you could send someone else, but he didn't. Each time in that prayer, that when he went, because he went back 3 times, he would come back. And, he asked them to watch and pray, and he found them sleeping. Like, come on, y'all. I bought my best 3 dudes, 3 y'all I could count on, and y'all are sleeping. That is, their job was to watch and pray. Sometimes we can put what we are supposed to do, what our assignment and what we're called to do, we put so much weight on someone else. At this moment, Jesus is like projecting a little bit of his anger, his frustration out on the 3 disciples. But like, I asked y'all to do one thing and y'all couldn't do it. It wasn't their assignment to go to the cross. We can get, we put so much stock in the fear, the doubt, the unbelief, the don't want to do it, call somebody else to do it, in it, that we then project that on someone else. And so now here is Jesus making the disciples, making it their fault, his fault, the disciples' fault, so to speak, which didn't have anything to do with the disciples. So we have to watch ourselves. Are we projecting? Are we putting or reflecting the anger, the frustration, the disappointment on to someone else when we aren't just taking responsibility or accountability of our own purpose and of our own job? He had to go back, and whatever happened between that 2nd and 3rd time to him praying, when he came back and he was like, okay, he's accepted his fate. He's accepted what it is supposed to happen and is going to happen. And he was like, okay, the time is now. The hour has come. Let's go. Wake up, y'all. Let's go. And so with the Bible and Jesus being our example, we also, in the dark night of the soul, have to take a look at our own self. Do we just give up and be like, no, this cup is too much, or I don't want to go down this road? A lot of times, there are roads that we have to go down that we don't want to go down. It's going to cause hurt. It's going to cause pain. It's going to cause discomfort. It's going to shake us up a little bit. When we want to stay in our comfort zone, we want to stay where everything is great. But what have we learned? I feel like through adversity, that's the word. Through adversity, we learn exactly who we are. When the rubber meets the road, when our back is up against the wall, we learn who we are. Are we coming out fighting, or are we going to sit there and be a woe is me? So when Jesus accepted his fate, it's like his whole countenance has changed. He had a talk with the Father. He had a talk with himself, and he accepted it. And when we accept what is our fate and what we're supposed to do, I feel like how much further will we be in our ascension process? I feel like, we all have an assignment. We all have a calling. Not everybody is called to preach or teach, but it's something that you're supposed to do. And we all know to a degree what it is. But if we get hung up on the ending, knowing the outcome as to whether or not we're going to do it or not, we'll stay exactly where we are. We'll stay exactly where we are. But we're all without excuse. We're all without excuse. We already have the great example. And it's not who your crew is. It's not who you are running with as an excuse. Because we all have our free will. We all have our mind. We all have access to the Father. If Jesus was to depend on the three that he sent with him, who knows how long he would have been there, going back and forth. But this is something he knew that he had to do within him. And so that's what we have to do also. We have to turn and look to us on the inside. What is it that we're called to do? What is it that our assignment? Will we allow the people around us to be a distraction? Those three, the disciples around him, could absolutely have been a distraction. And you stop and think like, okay, Jesus knew what exactly he's supposed to have been doing, what his assignment was. So I want to know is like, why are you going and checking on the disciples? You know what is at hand. I feel like this is a way of just like an escape, and you need a relief, who can I blame this on, so to speak. But that tug and war, we all have that same tug and war. The flesh is weak and the spirit is willing, so as we go through the adversities of life, we build up. Now this is if you choose to, because you don't have to, but I feel like you when you choose to, that you are moving up, like you are moving up the ascension ladder, meaning you're not going to think the same way that you thought in the past. Your knowledge, your insight, your ability, what you can do, what when things are thrown at you, when your back is up against the wall, as you elevate, it's like, you got this, it's like, I got this, because there's one that sticks closer than a brother, that is with you every step of the way. And that's what we do. We turn to the Bible for our help, so that's what I have for you today. We've all heard the story of Gethsemane. I hope I'm saying it right. Of Gethsemane, which I'm equating to the dark night of the soul, which is inevitable. We get to a point in our life where we are going to have to face ourselves and face a situation. For Jesus, the rubber has met the road. What are you going to do? And we see that in every different phase and stage of that, he struggled. There was anguish, there was frustration, there was projection. But yet he came to terms. He's accepted it. Another thought was that, how when, as parents, we say that this is going to hurt you. This is going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt you when you're going to, discipline your child. And looking at this from the God standpoint, he is probably having that same scenario going on. Like, man, I know at any moment I can save him, but, this has to be done. And it was probably hurting him, but yet everybody had their purpose. Everybody had to stick to the plan, When we watch these movies, and you know, you have a group of people that's supposed to rob the bank or whatever they're supposed to do, and then one person want to go off grid and do something different, then the whole thing fall apart. No, everybody got to stick to the plan. And I'm not promoting bank robbery. I'm just using the movies as a reference. You know, everybody had to stick to the plan for this to work. You know, and we have to stick to the plan also for our life to work. You know, it's line upon line, precept upon precept. You know, once you cross this hurdle and you accept and come to terms with it, you know, and then you move to a new way of thinking, a new era in life. Once you get there, it'll be something else. It's not going to always be a Gethsemane moment, but I feel like that we have to have one, so that whatever is hindering us can be purging, can be pressed out of us, you know. All right, so I'm going to end it there. I hope you guys have an awesome day, and I will talk to you later.